We have to be on our best behavior, everybody.
And record it. What kind of thing is this?
No, I have to be. Well, one of the reasons why I'm recording it is one, so I can account for the lesson. So if anybody said that we didn't have a class at this time, right? I can show that's not true. And then secondly, if you want to refer to anything that was in this class, if people want to come on, because I know there's plenty of people still haven't come on the classroom yet, right?
Yeah.
You can have this class available for them to access anytime, right? The first thing I want to try to organize is yeah, Cheyenne is waiting. Right. The first thing I want to really organize with you all is the journal thing. That's the first sort of assignment I have put up for you all, right? And so far, Cheyenne is the only person who's given me something so far. So thank you very much, Cheyenne. And I will show as I one thing I've been asking the ministry, I've been asking my fellow teachers as well too, is, you know, ever since they bring up this journal thing, right, back in 2010, almost 10 years ago, I was asked them, well, what is a perfect journal? Show me an example of a perfect journal. Because a lot of children who have done art in the past, right? The journal is the one thing that they lose. Was the one reason why they didn't fulfill all the requirements for CXC. And I just find it very odd that, you know, we don't, up to recently, I have never seen a perfect journal to show you all, right? And that to me is very, very serious. Any of you have your parents text you by any chance?
No, sir, I'm going.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just asking.
No, so say it over again. I didn't hear what you say.
Okay, right.
Oh my God.
I just want to, Jaden is here, great man. Welcome, Jaden. Yes, welcome, Jaden. Welcome, man. Yeah, right. So the session today, which is roughly going to last about 45 minutes, right? If give me some more time, I can probably get a little bit more time to discuss. But I mean, we're supposed to be limited to 45 minutes or so. Let's go discuss the whole thing about the journal with you, right? So I have a PowerPoint queued up here. So I'll actually discuss it. And while I'm discussing it, you all can very much feel free to ask questions or provide feedback or give suggestions and stuff like that, right? The most important thing to realize, right? The two most important things. It is an illustrated journal. And when I say illustrated, it must have, apart from words, it must have pictures, it must have your original artwork as well in it. And you'll see that an example. So what I asked people to do as well too, so apart from giving me the words, right, I asked the introduction in the classroom, I want you to just take a little bit of time and, you know, try and do some fancy lettering with your, you know, with your, preferably not with your name. I don't know if you're allowed to use your first name, but you can definitely use your alias or your nickname, right? So if Chavez is King Benny's, I want a lot of artwork saying King Benny's, you can talk about your Venezuelan heritage and stuff like that. That is exactly what I want, right? The work we were doing last year, Chavez, with the microphone and the King Benny's and stuff like that, you have the Venezuelan flag as a banner going under it. I think that's really cool and it's something we could work on, right? Okay. I'll Sharon to do a little bit of stuff with her name as well, so you can go Shy Shy or whatever it is. Kyla, what's your nickname?
I don't have a nickname.
You don't have a nickname?
No, I don't like nicknames that much.
So I can't call you Super K or Special K or something like that.
Oh my God, no.
Safi, what if I just put you as Safi?
Her nickname is Safi. Duh.
Right. Okay. Well, that's great. That's great. Ali, I'm not hearing from you. I'm to Ali, we're not there. Anyway. All right. I'm just gonna give about 5 more minutes again. All right, and I will try to, you know, Kyla has shown me a lot of her artwork. Let me just discuss that stuff with you all too, right? When you're sending me your artwork either via email or WhatsApp, I want you to rest a ruler next to it, please.
Oh yes, I forget to do that. My bad.
Right? Whose iPhone?
Anthony, I think.
All right, Anthony, what do you see?
I think.
Okay.
Damn, wondering the ruler next to where to.
Yes, the reason why Shia is
I can see how
because
big
I
it
will
is.
get a better idea of how big the work is when I have to document it. All right,
Oh, okay.
not a very serious thing.
Oh,
The
come on.
the really important thing is that the final piece has to be on 11 by 14, which is a big sketchpad sheet, right? But the work that you are doing right now will be admitted with the final piece, okay? So that you will be able to show the examiner that you've been working on something for a while. Jaden has hand up. What's happening, Jaden?
Well, so I have a lot of artwork I have already completed, but I recently came down by my father. So I would have to send it to you when I go back up the road in Valencia.
Yeah,
So
well,
I need a contact for you. But
yeah, well, my
would you
contact
think
number,
I'll be able
my
to
WhatsApp.
get that?
Yeah, let me just type in the chat right now so that you will see everything as I talk, right? My WhatsApp number, most of you all have it already, but I'll give it to Jaden, is 276-6050, and my email is
Well, I got
david
the email, yeah.
@gmail.com.
Jaden talking all formal. Same thing I saw.
That's okay, right? But seriously, right? The cool thing about doing it electronically is that no matter where you are, so once Jaden is able to get back to his father's place and take the pictures of the artwork, right? Even if he moves back or whatever it is, once you have stored it on your phone, on your device, then you can send it to me at any time at all. I can look at it and give my feedback, right? There were times when some of the work you've done, if I tell you the piece is too small or the piece needs a little bit fixing up, do not get angry with me, please. I'm begging you, all right? Because you're still going to submit the work you've done. The work is not going to be wasted, okay? Because even with what you've done, that will go along to accompany the piece so that the examiner could see that you've been working on this thing and it's a process. It's not just simply one piece you just drop in somebody's face and that's done. They want to see that you've been working on it. And they also want to see that you've been working on it for a while as well too, because what they care about is for every, you remember your exam is long, right? You remember how many, does anybody remember how long you have in the exam?
Is it either 6 or 8 hours? I think it's 6.
It's 6 hours kind of, right? So it's 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the evening, in the afternoon after lunch, right? I have no idea how it's going to run this time if the COVID regulations will still be in effect, right? But you have a long time in the exam itself for the pieces that you require to do for the exam. So what they're saying is that for the pieces that you have done, you know, from between Form 4 and Form 5, right, as your SBAs, they want to see that you spend even more time working on them. And that is a real issue that they look for when they examine in the book. And along with the illustrated journal, now the next thing to CXC is very, very, very lack of a better word, uptight. If anything is missing, you automatically get ungraded.
What?
Yeah. So if you know you're supposed to do 6 pieces and a journal, and you did 5 in a journal, automatically you get ungraded. Right? That's what was that?
I feel ya.
Yeah, that's real torture, right? So I'm begging you all, and the reason why it is like that is because it's very, very competitive at the Form 5 level. Remember, it's not just you're not just competing against your classmates, right? You are competing all for that matter. You are not just competing against all the Form 5 school children in Trinidad and Tobago. You are competing throughout the entire Caribbean, and that goes from Belize to Jamaica all the way down, right? So that's why it's so tough, right? So bear that in mind, please. That I don't want to discourage y'all, but at the same time, I wouldn't be teaching y'all, and I wouldn't be supporting y'all if I didn't feel that y'all were not good enough to, you know, be in that level. All right. So you all have the talent, you have the brains as well too, and I think most importantly, you'll have the creativity. Okay. So do not be afraid. I tell you, just go brave, and you will hopefully, you know, we will all do well. Because I mean, your results is also a reflection on my effort as a teacher as well too. right? Let me not
I'll make you proud, sir. Wait up.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Right.
Yeah.
And if anything, if you get a result that is unsatisfactory, I think I will actually approach the principal this time to try to query why.
Oh.
Right? Because what happened is in 2010, right? I got full passes, and then when this journal thing came along, all of a sudden people's grades just started to go down, and the journal is a problem, right? And that is why I said, let me dedicate this class and probably at least one or two classes a month from now on into dealing with the journal, so that this class will be about doing the journal, and then we will start to see as we go along how the journal is progressing. Now, I was very, very extremely proud of Cheyenne. Two people that really, let me not, and I'm not trying to belittle anybody else or put down or disrespect anybody else, but Kyla had done a lot of artwork last year in Form 4, right? And good artwork too, right? Cheyenne had done some artwork as well, and she's the first person to actually write the introduction for the journal. So big up to Cheyenne as well too. Really, really big up to both of you, right?
Big up.
Have worked hard. You're blessed, and you'll continue to show that you'll want to do the work, and you're not afraid of work, right? Chavez in particular as well has done a lot of preliminary work, and the only thing I would say in Chavez's work is that when you write in the King Bennies, you have to instead of starting off small and ending big, you have to start off big and end up small. So the K-I-N-G, the K has to be the biggest letter, and then the I-N-G has to be gradually smaller, and then Bennies can be capital B as well, and then let it get small again. All right? All right, so let me see if I can share my screen now with y'all. And I'm sharing, I have a whiteboard here. Right, great. So first of all, the whiteboard, right? So when I say you can see this whiteboard, right? People?
Yes, sir, I seen it.
Okay. So let me just do freehand right now. I'll do freehand. Well, I want to do a big marker. So color, right? So when you do the King Bennies, okay, I'll do this with my mouse.
So are you doing good?
What's that?
But you're doing good.
No, I'm saying I just want to do it freehand with the mouse to show you. So I want like the K and the V to be very big, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of them to be small. So the King, I'm using the whiteboard in Teams, man. And the V will be the same capital V. And maybe the Z could be a little bit bigger at the end. Oh, Jesus Lord, it's kind of horrible. Right? And you have the Sudan flag, the red, blue, and yellow in the background, right? Yes, Sean, see that one? Right? Sort of like waving in the background, right?
Well, so you do that real good.
Yeah, but I have a mouse. That's why I have a handheld, a separate mouse, right? But you can put like stars and stuff like that as well too, right? But what I wanted to share with you all is the PowerPoint, because today we're specifically dealing with the journal, right? So if you can shift, let me see if I can shift the damn it. I was not be able to make sure everybody could see everything in the PowerPoint. You all can see this?
Yes, sir, I can see it.
Journal, right? Right. So the journal, ever since 2010, 10 years ago, is a written work, and it's supposed to be 1,000 words, but by the time you finish it, you'll have a lot more than 1,000 words. And by the time you'll satisfy all of the requirements for every category in the thing, you'll have way more than 1,000 words, right? So 1,000 word, the word count isn't necessarily necessarily the best yardstick to judge how good or how bad the journal is done. What is the real measuring tool for the journal is, or the real criteria for the journal is the categories, the different categories inside the journal, okay? And I'll explain that to you all as I go along. And like I said, please feel free at any time to jump in and say, you know, I don't understand this, I don't understand that. Please explain this, please explain that, right? That's what we're here for. The good thing about having this thing recorded is I'll put it on YouTube, and you can watch it on YouTube, and if anything you didn't catch on, you can always pause it, rewind, go back, right? And then go forward again, okay? So this is the official, like I said, this was prepared by the curriculum officer of the Ministry of Education, right? And it's a body of work reflecting the students' exposure to the theory, process, and practice of visual arts with special reference to the expressive forms studied. The expressive forms will be the options selected, for example, drawing, painting, and mixed media, and so on. So when you see Form 1, Form 2 in the reflective journal, what we're talking about is not the classes, like not like when you were in Form 1 or when you were in Form 2, right? You have 2 expressive forms. Most of you all have chosen that, and I want to use this session as well. So if we have the time to try to finalize what expressive forms, we have 2 expressive forms to choose from, and which expressive forms you're going with, right? Most people with me, because of what I am good at personally, I recommend drawing and graphic design. Other people could, I think color and design is another one that I think is very doable, and we can discuss it as we go along, okay? So next slide. So really the reflective journals, actually this slide should be what is the purpose or what's the reason for the reflective journal, right? And the purpose or the reason for it is to show evidence that you have that you can talk about the process of creating your own artwork for CSEC, and as well you're able to analyze and study and discuss other forms of artwork as well, okay? I just put on a disclaimer, the following information is just a suggestion of one approach. There's no, once you fulfill all the categories, there's no absolutely right way and wrong way, but there are good ways and there are better ways to do things, right? And that's why I was very happy I got a hold of this presentation. All right, so the content, right? You must have a cover that you'll hopefully nice up and do well, right? Then there's the official CXC cover page, which is like a form basically, which has all these tables and boxes to fill out. Then you have a table of contents, right? Which is where you will discuss what is appearing on what page, right? So you don't have to say everything, you just have to put the categories, right? You say what category is on one page, right? There's the introduction, and I think what is missing here is a body where you discuss the expressive forms. So I'm kind of changing this up to personalize a little bit, right? So in the body, which is the most important part of the journal, right? You will discuss your 3 works of art that you did for option 1 and the 3 works of art that you did for option 2. Now, inspiration. Inspiration is a part where you write a short essay, going to be about a page or so, right? On a Caribbean artist. It doesn't have to be somebody, you know, beginner dance, could be somebody who you know next door, but it's somebody who is nevertheless a professional artist. I would at least want somebody who's a full-time artist, who does it as a job. And even choose art teachers as well too, right? So when you talk about the expressive forms, Form 1, Form 2, well, I should write down option 1, option 2.
Excuse me. Can you repeat about the artist thing, please?
Yes, sure, Shan. So go back to the previous one, study of artists, right? You're going to do a short essay. It doesn't have to be more about a page, about 3 or 4 paragraphs on a Caribbean artist. Now, do you also have the textbook Visual Arts for Secondary Schools?
Nope.
So repeat that. I didn't hear.
You also have a textbook.
Nope.
Right. All
I'll
right.
take that back. I'll take it back.
You take it back. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. Well, I will try to provide some online resources for you. All right. Don't fight up with that. I'll make a note of that. Online resources. I'll put up in the classroom. Right. So that you will get some information, some links to
No
websites
problem, sir.
on Trinidadian artists. Right. If you want to do some more Caribbean artists as well too. But I think the best thing is to do Trinidadian artists who are also, big in the Caribbean as well. Right. So, Sharon, you cool with that, right? It's just a short research essay on a Caribbean artist. Right? We cool?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. All right, so we move on to the next one. Right. Now, when you talk about, so what you're saying here, like say, I would take this instead of saying expressive form 1, I'll put in brackets to make it more simpler. Option 1. And option 2. Right? That makes it more simpler, right? So I'll put CSEC option 1. And CSEC option 2, right? And we'll discuss with all of you all what 2 options we're choosing. So one section should be about the historical, culture, and contemporary content. That's a long way of saying the overall history of the form. So say talk about drawing, right? You say drawing has been going on since prehistoric times. They have cave paintings, they have cave drawings, so on, right? And then you will discuss about your drawings later, okay? Right? Another expressive form could be graphic design. Graphic design, however, is a more recent aspect of art and was really only came about in just over the past 100 years, right? And you know that it was done by hand originally, and now it's being more and more graphic design being done by computers, all right? So these are the kind of things you'll probably discuss in the first paragraph, and then after that, you will probably discuss your graphic design if you're doing graphic design, right? Moving along. So the last 3 parts of it. So after the first piece, let's go back a little bit here. Damn it. The first part is these 6 parts we talked about, and then after that, you have these last 3 parts. Again, the conclusions is a small paragraph. The conclusion is saying, well, that's for you to just think back a little bit on how your art making and your art process and your art classes have been over the past 2 years, more like the past 1.5 years. The bibliography, I will help you with that, is the bibliography is where you show what books and what texts you have used. Now, the bibliography is not just books. The bibliography could also be interviews, live interviews. It could also be YouTube videos that you have seen. It could also be websites. All that is part of your bibliography, and I have to help you with that, right? And the appendix may be, for example, certain things you may wish to just add, right? If there are extra pictures or there are extra words that may be used by a certain artist that nobody else knows about, right? That could be in the appendix as well too. So, just going to the cover, like I said, don't be shy, nice up, go hell hard and do anything you want to cover, right? But it must be done neatly. I think they're looking for neatness more than anything else. Yeah, some kind of art was very, very messy looking. They don't like that, unfortunately. They don't like that type of thing, right? So there has to be as well to an overall theme. That means a kind of imagery or a set of images that will be sort of consistent throughout the entire journal, right? You'll see some people have butterflies, some people have cars, some people have, DJ stuff anything like that, but you want to kind of keep it consistent throughout the thing, right? So craftsmanship and lettering, illustration, and construction of the cover, you'd also include the words visual arts reflective journal. Please be advised, you are not to put your name. Like I said, that's why I don't mind if you put your nickname, right? You can even put an abbreviation of your name, but you cannot put your name because the examiner is not supposed to know who you are, right? I'm not sure if they're supposed to know, if they're not supposed to know where you come from. So here's an example, right? A child has put a hummingbird, a painting of a hummingbird, and if you could see the binding on the side here. So you can kind of see that there's a book roughly about the size of a small drawing book, right? And you can see that they have the subject, the title, reflective journal, right? And it's my fascination with tropical wildlife, right? But there's no mention of the person's name or the school or anything like that they're from, okay?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes.
So next comes the ugly CXC reflective journal cover page, right? It's provided by CXC, and it's something that you have to fill out, or I have to fill out, I don't know. But like I said, it's ugly as hell, and it is all the information, your student number, your school number, all this kind of nonsense. That was kind of, paperwork basically, right? But you have to fill that out later, and right now I don't think we should get too worried about that. The table of contents, okay? This is a very important thing. The table of contents obviously allows you to explain the person reading it what they're going to read, right? So on page 1, we'll have the introduction and so on and so, and then the next page might have your reflections on your 3 pieces for option 1, and that'll be a series of pages, and then the next set of pages will be your reflections on option number 2, right? So most times as well, too, you're required to put the acknowledgements. I mean, you can thank your teacher, thank your school, right? Like I said, I don't mind. I don't really, you don't have to big me up too much, right? But it's a requirement that they like to see that you acknowledge, you give some praise or give some gratitude to those who've taught you, not just in Form 4 and Form 5, but who have taught you throughout your entire school career, from 1 to Form 5, right? And as you can see here, if I can zoom in a little bit to show it to you. You see here?
Yeah, I don't zoom in and scope out.
Right, so I'd like to thank my teacher, blah blah, Miss so and so. You can mention your teacher's name, right?
I don't want to mention Mr. This man, right? Alan.
Yes, you could. You could.
Nah, real good. Real good.
All right. Okay, let's not get too bogged down in that, right? All right. I would like to give my thanks to Ms. Atwaru. That means her teacher. She encouraged me to explore different media, where I was introduced to my favorite one, acrylic paint. I learned how to manipulate paint to express details of my imagination under her guidance. I'm very grateful to her for teaching me these amazing skills. I also like my parents, like family too, right? For having confidence in me and my skills. Their support and continuous praise every time I completed a new piece kept encouraging me to persist. I'm grateful for their support morally, educationally, and financially, right? You can see here in this child's table of contents, right? Introductions on page 1, the inspiration is on page 3, right? Study of artists is on page 4, and then you can see that she has chosen 2. I don't know he or she. I just say it's a girl because of the flowers, but who knows, right? You have this person has chosen 2 expressive forms, right? And they are painting and mixed media, and graphic and communication design, right? And you see here on page 8, they're talking about historical account of painting, cultural account of painting, and the process and analysis of the 3 painting pieces, right? So you all see that, right? In graphic and communication design, you have the historical account of graphic and communication design, you have the cultural account of it, right? And then the process and analysis where you talk about your 3 pieces, right? And this was something that was never explained to me properly, and I'm glad that I'm finally able to explain this to you, right? And you see at the end that there's a conclusion. The conclusion is a very, very short paragraph, right? This whole process taught me a lot. And at times I was frustrated. At times I wanted to cry. But my parents and my teacher urged me to continue, right? And I'm so happy that I finally made it to the end. I hope that you as the examiner will appreciate the hard work that I put into this, into these pieces, right? And then at the end is a bibliography, right?
Yes, sir.
If I could zoom in it a little bit, no, right, I have to sort of censor it a little bit, right? But I really want you all to take a special note of these points in the table of contents, because it's exactly what, although you may be doing different options, right? How the student has structured this this thing, right? I'm really, really happy with how it has been done, right? So let's move on to the next page. Zoom back out. The Chavez, okay. All right. Now, this is what I was trying to get you all to start writing on. And this is sort of your first assignment, basically. Okay? Right?
Yes, and this in the Google Classroom, right?
Yeah, I will screenshot it and put it up in the Google Classroom so that you have.
So I don't screenshot everything, though.
Yeah, everything.
Like
doesn't-
everything you
and that's
done
my
goes
place?
up there. I
Yeah.
screenshot.
Yeah. Right? So again, these are the 5 topics that are supposed to be your introduction. Right? You can, like I said, do not mention your name. I'm not even sure you can mention where you're from, but I think that might be okay to say that you come from Sri Lanka, right? The reason why as well too I'm a little bit concerned about mentioning where you're from is because sometimes different people of different nationalities, when examining you, they don't like people of a certain nationality, right? I hate to say it, but I think I don't think that is true of most examiners, but it is unfortunate aspect of human nature that you can't always say it does not exist, right? But if you say why you have chosen visual arts and why you have decided to further your practice or your experimentation in the first option, and the same thing again, why you have chosen to develop and practice your skill and your abilities in the second option, and what is the main theme of your reflective journal and what inspired you to do this theme, okay? So, we're clear on that. Next slide. Right, so you see here, all right, let me just go back to that. So remember the 5 points, right? The 5 points are why they chose visual arts, why they chose option 1, why they chose option 2, and what was the theme, and what they plan to explore, what inspired them to explore this theme. I'm asking you all to keep those questions in mind, because when you go to the introduction itself, you will see that they're answering all the questions. Obviously, the examiner will make sure that you answer all these questions in the introduction. So this person is saying, I decided to do visual arts because when I was younger, my mother taught me how to draw and I developed a passion for it. I experimented with drawing different animals and I tried still life. But this did not excite me as much as drawing a life of another. Visual art also serves as a means, it should be means here, for me to express my emotions. Since I am a shy person, I have trouble speaking about my feelings. When asked to select 2 expressive forms, I knew painting and mixed media would have been one, since it allows me the most room to express my creativity. I had least experience in the beginning with this form, but trusted my teacher to learn what I needed to learn. I have grown to love the art of painting and appreciate the way I can manipulate paint to express vivid images in my mind that I certainly cannot do in words. I also chose graphic and communication design because it is a growing field of employment in Trinidad and Tobago. Because of competitive products and services, society is now realizing the importance of design in advertising and marketing. I want to be an animal rights activist when I get older, and I believe this option will help in the promotion of posters, books, etc., to communicate my message. The theme of all my artwork is my fascination with tropical wildlife through visual arts. I feel a connection to animals and want to paint their beautiful mystical being so others can appreciate them more than they are used to. Animals have a huge impact on this earth and need to be protected from harm and extinction. I also love to manipulate the expressions of any animal to be more human-like, right? So this person is obviously explaining the reason why they started art in the first place, right? Why they chose their two specific options, right? And what was the theme and how they plan to take their art further in the future, right? So, like I said, these are the things you have to consider when you write the introduction. So I will screenshot those 5 categories, which again are here, okay? And we'll take it from there, people. Now, inspiration. What inspired you during the productions of your artwork, photos, paintings, poems, etc.? A major part of this section is the study of an artist, or let's say a Caribbean artist, preferably a Trinidadian artist, right, who served as an inspiration for you. Therefore, there must be a link to the artist's artwork and your artwork with reference to style, theme, or technique, etc., right? And that's why I say you should try and go local, because they want you to try to interview the artist, right? So I'm saying you have to try to find somebody who you know, or who your parents know, or who you know down the block, or who may be, you know, easy to get a hold of so that you can interview them. Okay, everybody cool with that part?
Yeah.
All right, on to the next part. So the inspiration, we can know a little bit more, is a short biography of the artist. It's about the artist's inspiration, right? And the artist's style. You should have 5 images, right? And each one of those images should have a caption to explain the name of the artist, the type of media used, the size, and the year that the work was created or completed, right? Then you should really offer an analysis of the 5 artworks, right? The general information, description, analysis of how the elements and principles of art and design are used and why interpretations, right? And again to your judgment of the artwork. Now, let me ask you to be a little bit careful that don't get too carried away on saying, on trying to diss somebody's artwork, right? And say bad things about people's artwork. Because the question would be, well, if you didn't like this person so much, or you didn't like their artwork so much, why you choose them as inspiration, right? So if you start to diss somebody or try to you know, demean them, ultimately if you do that in your inspiration section, you're sort of demeaning yourself, right? So it's really not a good idea to do that at all. Okay? Yes, anybody have any questions, comments?
Hit me to the catch me tomorrow.
What's that, sorry? All right. Okay, next slide, all right? Right, so this person chose this artist called Rod Lawrence, right? And there will be a whole on discussion on the artist. If you want to, I'll just put this document, this whole PowerPoint in the classroom if it can fit. If it can't fit, I'll have to screenshot it, right? And they sort of say what, you know, the history of the artist and stuff like that, where they went to art school in the United States and so on and so forth. And they have examples of the artist's work, right, throughout. And now, the expressive form. Like I keep on saying, not the expressive form is the option more than anything else, right? I'm trying to hurry up a little bit here because I see that 40 minutes coming up just now. And so general information, historical content, cultural content, and contemporary content, right? So this person has shown you painting and mixed media. So she's now talking about painting and mixed media, what it is generally, the history of it, and then how it is in Trinidad and Tobago specifically. So they're dealing with the general history, right? The historical content and the cultural content, which is how it works inside Trinidad and Tobago. Right. So then after you do that, you will start to talk about your expressive forms or your options. So if your first expressive form was painting and mixed media, it talk about in general, it's about the general history, the general content, and the cultural content, right? And you talk about how you did your pieces now. Right? And you just keep on doing this over and over again for every single piece that you've done. Now remember, people, you have 2 expressive forms to choose from, and you have 3 pieces. So one hand here, you have 2 expressive forms to choose from, and in each of those expressive forms, you have 3 pieces to do. Okay? So if you're doing drawing and you're doing color, you'll talk about 3 drawings and then 3 color pieces. Right? Everybody cool with that so far, people? Not hearing you all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here are the examples, right? And like I said before, you can take pictures of your work while it is in progress. So that because you want to show the examiner that, you know, these are the steps. You show that a certain idea, and you tried one thing, you like certain parts of it, you didn't like other parts of it, and so you did another draft where you kept where you discarded what you didn't like, and you kept what you liked in order to develop it a little bit more, right? Until you end up with the final piece. So that's what I'm saying. Every piece has to have like about 2 or 3 pieces with it to show that, you know, this is how you were developing it. So you see, for example, this person here did the parrot, right? And she did the parrot, you know, with the typical red, yellow, and blue. Tried it now with a green background, then try or a sunset background, make it blue, and then trying it now with a blue background and the blue feathers, right? And again, she's showing you the steps she's going through in order to make the final piece, which is this. Okay? So it's really important that you take pictures of the work as you're doing it. Don't just simply work on a piece and don't take pictures. Work on the work while you're doing it. If you reach a certain stage that you're happy with, take a picture of it. This is very, very important, and only you can do. I can't do this for you. I'm not there to do it for you now, right? You'll have to be able to do pictures of your work and then decide which ones you want to keep. But remember that in order to accompany the artwork, you have to have at least 3 pictures. Okay? Right, you're almost there, people. The conclusion, right? You're trying to summarize the process. When I mean the process, summarizing the process, it means summarizing everything you've done in an overall sense. Your entire study of art in Form 4 and Form 5, right? What have you learned during this journey? What did you enjoy most in this journey? What challenges did you face? Well, obviously, everybody challenges dealing with the COVID-19 and the online classes and stuff like that. That's a big challenge and a big problem, right? What do you think you can use to improve? And what advice would you give to future art students, right? Now, in this section here, you use all of the books and internet resources and interviews as well too, right? But I will teach you very specifically how to write those down. Because most of the time you have to put the author's surname first, then their first name, and the title of the book, and so on and so on, right? The appendix, you can probably put, you know, things that is a bit too woody. For example, you could have the entire transcript of the interview if you want, right? I just recommend you put that in. You don't have to put it in, but if you want to show the examiner, look, I did a lot of work in this thing, right? You can put that in. The transcript is when you sit down and record every single thing, right? And that's it, people. So like I said, this is the first time I'm seeing a breakdown of the reflective journal, right? It is something that I hope you all will just simply watch once. So I'll put it up on YouTube so that you will get a chance to see it again and go over it again, right? Any questions or comments, people? There's nothing in this journal saying have to be 1,000 words, but that is a minimum requirement for CSEC. Any questions, comments, remarks, people, right now? Because we can't start to wrap up right now. Hello,
Nah,
hello.
sir.
All right, right? So, yes, I'm saving those changes. Right? I'm not hearing from Cameron at all. What Cameron doing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just let me show you still there, Cameron. Right? So, like I said, this will be up on YouTube soon, so that you can refer to it. And I will see you all Friday, right? It's Friday at 9 a.m., right, people? Just let me show. Cheyenne.
Yes, sir.
Right, Friday at 9 a.m., right? And we'll take it from there. We'll go a little bit more detail into the journal itself. And specifically, we'll go a little bit more detail into the introduction. So like I said, between today and tomorrow, that first page that has the 5 categories that I want you all to write on for the introduction, right? I would really like if you all try, keyword here is try to do that before Friday, right?
Okay.
Right? Cheyenne, you're good already. I could make some small adjustments to yours, right? But everybody else, I need you all to work hard and catch up with Cheyenne, please.
So I read that already, and I read that since we was in school. I just didn't send it there.
Yeah, but I didn't give you all the 5 categories before. So whatever you have written before, look at those 5 categories and see how you can, right? In order to fulfill those 5 categories.
Just make sure and post it on the chat so we could
Yeah.
on the Google Classroom, you know.
Yeah. Right? So let me just before I do anything else, people, just hang on a second, huh? I want to make sure of one thing. Jesus Christ, 1 second. Just bear with me for 1 second, please. I want to take a screenshot of you all here so I can show your attendance. Please bear with me. And I can't seem to do it. What a better idea. Using my phone.
So why don't let us put our name, meeting, and say present in the chat?
You can do that too. You can do that too as well. I was right here. I found it.
Okay.
I'm going to have everybody here. Right. And that's it. So do you all know how to screenshot my PC?
I don't know. I don't know my screenshot thing is.
5 minutes 15. Right, so what you do is take a share my screen again. Share my desktop. No, I can't share my desktop.
So where are Windows or Mac?
Windows.
Windows.
Yeah.
I think it's Alt plus.
No, there's something called a snipping tool that you just open the snipping tool and then draw a box around what you want to save and then save the picture.
Oh, all right, good.
Right?
Yeah.
What I will try to do is there's some apps as well too to allow you to record your entire desktop. Right? Not just record within Zoom itself, but record your entire desktop, and we'll try and go to that later. All right, but people, I'm happy that we managed to finish our session today. So you at least have a better idea of how to do the journal, right, people?
Yeah.
This will not be the only time we're going over this, right? So if you, I don't expect you to get every single thing right now, but at least we have to start working on the introduction. And you've seen the 5 categories. I will pull up those 5 categories for you all again, right? And we start and we take it from there. So by Friday, I should see something from you all that tries to address those 5 categories. So please, all right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, so blessings to everybody. All right, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much for attending. All right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, bye.